The Marshall Origin 20 is a great, relatively affordable option to get that classic Marshall tone. And today I want to share with you 3 tips how I get the best out of this amp. So if you are following me here on YouTube or Instagram, then you probably know that I use this amp a lot, like almost in every video I do. And over time I really learned to use it best for my needs. So the first tip I want to share with you has to do with the EQ section of this amp. If you read or watch reviews of the Origin amps, the most common negative point on these are that they sound too bright and thin. The best solution to solve this problem is to actually not using the treble control. With not using it, I mean turning it down to 0 and only use the presence and the tilt control to adjust the high end. Here's an example how the amp sounds with a neutral EQ setting, like most of us would start with. So the high end is really sharp even when it's only on 5. And now here an example how I solved this problem. So I turned back the treble to 0 and I only use the presence and the tilt control to adjust the high frequencies. So I think it sounds way better when I only use these 2 controls instead of the treble control. The high end is still there, but it's not too pushy and sharp. And even when I max out the presence and the tilt control, it never gets too bright. If you still need some extra high end, you can for sure add a little bit of treble, but I can recommend to not go over 2. You definitely have to find your sweet spot for yourself, and it also depends on the guitar, pickups and the cab you are using. But in general, leaving the treble control at a very low position really makes sense and a big difference on this amp. Let's go over to the second tip, and that is don't use the gain boost. So the Origin 20 is a 1-channel amp, but you have the option to add a gain boost with the push-pull knob. Compared to the normal sound, the gain boost adds too much low end to the sound, in my opinion, and I honestly don't like that sound. So instead of using the gain boost, I set up the amp to a light crunch sound, for example, and then I'm just adding an overdrive pedal in front of it. In this case I will use the LPD 68 Deluxe, which is basically a Marshall type overdrive pedal, and I will use this as my gain boost instead. So I think this sounds way better than the built-in gain boost, but you don't really need a Marshall style overdrive pedal. A simple clean boost works great as well. The LPD68 Deluxe has a built-in independent clean boost, so let me show you how it sounds with that. The last tip I want to share with you is more for using this amp at home or for recording, and it is use some kind of load box and IR loader. And this has two reasons. The first reason is you can crank up the volume of the amp to the sweet spot without annoying anyone. And the second reason, with impulse responses you can try and use a big variety of different speaker cabinets without actually buying and using physical speaker cabinets. I'm using the 2Notes Torpedo Captor X, which is a great all-in-one solution for that. With that device I can crank the Origin to its sweet spot and listen to it with headphones or at a low volume. And I can also load a lot of different impulse responses or virtual cabinets. So I mainly set the master of the Origin between 7 and 10, and that's where the amp has its sweet spot. And in combination with the gain control you can set a perfect edge of breakup tone, or even more if you want. So let me first show you some different stages of the master and gain control on this amp that I like to use. Now I will use a few different Dyne IRs from 2Notes to show you how easy you can change the sound character of the amp by only using different speakers. Alright, so these were my 3 tips how I use the Marshall Origin 20 head. I really hope this video was helpful for you and could give you some inspiration to get more out of your Origin. And if you have some more tips to share, then please write them down in the comments. I have put some affiliate links down in the video description, so if you want to support my channel, then please make sure to use them if you want to buy something online. This really helps me a lot and I would really appreciate it. If you want to support me even more, then you can head over to my Patreon page and support me there. In exchange you get access to a lot of guitar tabs and backing tracks that I use in my videos. Or what also helps me a lot is simply hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, so that we can see each other in the next video.